Welcome to a special edition of the Monday Report here on InsideTheGrove.com. It's baseball season, so Chase and I made a little move off of our green couch and into my pair of vintage Detroit Tiger Stadium seats to bring you the very latest from Media Day at the South End Zone, where Mike Bianco, his coaching staff, and the rest of the Ole Miss players met the media today and kind of kicked off a full slate of week activities kind of leading up to the tournament mobile, Chase, and everybody kind of seems like they're excited that spring's back and baseball fever's kind of in the air again.
It is. This is kind of the benchmark event to start baseball season. As Coach Bianco and all the guys are in great moods, and there's a lot of preseason hype around the team right now, and it's just one more season for Mike Bianco and his era of Rebel baseball.
Mike Bianco was certainly in a good mood when he met the media today. Let's hear what he had to say.
You know, opening day is Friday. We open up down in South Alabama and their preseason tournament. And of course, we're excited. This is probably the fastest that I've felt, and I don't know if I'm getting older, but it seems like it's the fastest that the preseason or the first game has gotten here. But one of the things I think is the reason I've gotten that feeling is because when we sit there to try to figure out the starting lineup, it's probably the most open that I've ever had in my 9 years.
Okay, now let's talk about a little bit of bad news that came out of Media Day. And Mike Bianco kind of wanted to head this off right from the start, made a point of telling the media about it, and then didn't want to take questions. But 3 players are not going to be with the team this weekend. They will not travel to the Gulf Coast to be with the players at South Al because of a violation of team rules. And those 3 players are starting pitcher Drew Pomeranz, utility infielder Tim Ferguson, and catcher Kyle Henson. We know who's gone, Chase. Obviously, the big name out of those 3 is Drew Pomeranz, who many people thought was going to be that Saturday starter this weekend. We've got the pitching rotation now. It doesn't include Pomeranz for the first weekend. Everybody's going to get a shot to come back in the midweek. Where does the pitching rotation go this first weekend?
Well, it's going to be led off by a couple of JUCO guys, and Aaron Barrett, who's going to get the opening day start for the Rebels, and Chris Corrigan will throw on Saturday against Mercer. Ending the weekend will be Philip Irwin, who's a returner that we thought would be really good. He had a great outing against Bethune-Cookman in the regional last year, and has really just kind of used that to elevate himself into a big-time role, as he's been the best pitcher on Ole Miss's staff so far.
I'm very excited to see what Aaron Barrett can do now that he has that chance to be in that Friday role. He just strikes me as a very calm, collected, and confident guy, kind of that persona that you want to have on Friday nights on the Hill. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Aaron Barrett does with this opportunity. And then a guy like Phil Irwin, you know, a friend of Inside the Grove, of course, a guy that we've kind of been projecting for a while, could fill into that Sunday slot. Let's hear what Carl Lafferty has to say about Phil Irwin.
Well, you know, Philip had a great outing last year against Bethune-Cookman in the Miami Regional, and he's continued to build on that success through the summer, through the fall, and even this spring. And I think he's doing what he does, but doing it better, if that makes any sense. He's a guy that really has great fastball command. His breaking ball is a mid-70s to upper 70s curveball that, you know, he's able to throw in the zone in any count, really. And he's just pitching with so much more confidence this year. And I think that comes with the experience. You know, being around guys like Lance Lynn, Cody Satterwhite, that were here last year that had been through the fires, and I think it's just, you know, his natural progression. And very, very proud of Phil and the way he's pitched this fall and spring.
Okay, now that we've kind of done the rundown of the pitching rotation this weekend, let's move right along to the starting infield and kind of go around the horn here and, Chase, give the people something to watch for from these guys and who's going to be starting this weekend.
Well, Brett Basham behind the plate, I think that was probably a given, but he's got a lot of depth. You got Henson and Taylor Hightower, a freshman that's very talented, but Basham will play the majority of the innings, and he will start this weekend. Matt Smith at first base, again, no surprise at all. The power in the middle of Ole Miss's lineup. He's working on cutting out those strikeouts and increasing his home runs as we go into the 2009 season. At second base, the always steady Zach Miller. I think he's kind of underrated. I think Miller's a guy that plays great defense and is a guy that really held the defense together last year with some shortstop issues.
Really a throwback kind of baseball player.
Right. At shortstop, Kevin Moore, a JUCO guy I've really become fond of. Great glove, really good hands. And they even said he was kind of Cozart-like the last few days, which is never a bad thing. At third base, the veteran Evan Button. Moore's going to play short, but as of right now, with Ferguson possibly out, Button gets the nod at third, and it makes for a very athletic infield for Ole Miss.
It's really great to see that Evan Button is in there at that third base spot. You know, I'm sure he would like to be playing shortstop, but after the year he had last year, and after the year that the Ole Miss team had as a whole, kind of trying to fill that shortstop, you know, position with Evan Button, you know, dealing with the injury, and Tim Ferguson, and a couple guys, just kind of a revolving door there. I'm sure that Evan's just glad to be on the field, be back out there and healthy, and the shortstop position, like we mentioned, was a little bit of a problem problem for Ole Miss last year, but Coach Rob Reinstedel, the infield coach and the hitting coach, seems to think they have it worked out. And let's hear what he has to say about the battle at short and at third.
This first weekend, we won't have Tim with us, so this gives us an opportunity to move some guys in different positions and get Evans bat in the lineup and let Mort's defense play. But again, when Tim comes back next week, I'm sure you'll see him in the lineup in somewhere, second base, third base, and we'll figure that out when that time comes. But yeah, early in the year. Coach was talking about this morning. Early in the year, it seems like offenses always seem to struggle, for the first couple games or so. So you put a premium on the defense and the pitching, and that gives us a pretty good defensive lineup out there in our infield. Have a Button at third and Ward at short. So we'll run with that, to start on Friday.
Okay, now that we've got the starting pitching rotation down and all the starting infielders, there's only one place to go. Chase, who's going to start in the outfield in Mobile this weekend?
Well, I think the biggest surprise, maybe not surprise, but Jordan Henry is in center field. He's a guy that played right the last couple of years, tons of speed, tons of ability. He's gotten a lot better at judging the ball off the bat, and he will be in center field. He'll be flanked on his left by Logan Power, another veteran. He's played center for each season. He's played left for a couple of years, and he's another bat in the middle of that Ole Miss order. In right, Jeremy Travis is a guy that's really emerged. He had some starts last year, looked really good. He's a huge energy guy for Ole Miss. He really seems to elevate people's play. He's been hot offensively. He'll get the nod in right field. And then another outfielder that will DH is David Phillips, a JUCO guy, junior, who can really swing the bat, and he'll get some shots in the field as well as the weekend moves on.
Absolutely. David is going to, as you mentioned, play in the field a little bit. He's going to start off at DH, but he's certainly in that mix of those top 4 or 5 outfielders. One guy, that you mentioned was Jeremy Travis, who's going to draw that start in right field. A guy who got hot kind of the middle to the end of the season last year, started a good long stretch of games for Ole Miss, and has now worked his way back into that starting rotation. And he's a guy that the coaching staff seems very fond of, as you mentioned, a high-energy guy. Matt Mossberg was very complimentary of him when he met the media today.
Well, Travis obviously, had that string of starts last year and did well, and just for various reasons worked himself out of the lineup. Not by anything he did, but players behind him just played really well. Travis is one of those guys who absolutely works his tail off in everything that he does. He's the epitome of what we're looking for in this program. And he's made extreme strides defensively, offensively, in his body. He's another one of those guys that put in a lot of time in the weight room over the summer. And he came back a much improved player from a pretty decent player last year. And he has just continued to produce all fall. And it's almost one of those, he forced us to have him out there. He's earned that spot. So.
Well, now that we've run through the entire gamut of starting positions, all the way from the pitchers to the infielders to the outfielders, there's really only one burning question left in everyone's mind, Chase, and that is this baseball stadium expansion going to be ready for first pitch? We had a chance to kind of walk around the field today, get some interviews with some guys after media days. What were your impressions on the field being ready in time?
I think it'll be very close. I think the foundation of the stadium and the things that are necessary for the fans and the players to enjoy it will be finished. There may be a wall not painted here or there, but for the most part, Swayze Field looks excellent, and I think it will be ready for Tuesday night against Central Arkansas.
And Mike Bianco sure thinks so as well. He was very complimentary of the construction crew and all the hard work that they put in to make this stadium happen. Aesthetically, it may not be perfect for first pitch, but there's going to be no problem with the field or anything. And let's hear what Mike Bianco has to say about the situation.
The stadium will be functional and operational in a sense that it won't affect the game. There might be a few things that may not get finished, like I guess on any project, but none that'll affect the game in any way, shape, or form. Shouldn't affect the fans as far as concessions, restrooms, and seats, and things of that nature. We're excited. It's going to be something that we're all very proud of.
Well, there you have it. That's going to do it for the special edition of the Monday Report here on InsideTheGrove.com. Now that baseball season's back, we encourage you to check in daily with our website, because between Chase and I, we feel like we do have the best baseball coverage out there. We're going to be bringing it to you from all angles, from the multimedia aspect with podcasts and videos to feature stories and game stories, and my blog, of course, from the bleacher seats this year. We really think that we're going to encompass a great bit of baseball coverage, and we encourage you to check back every single day on InsideTheGrove.com.